Hello, everybody. This month, I am going to be 75 years old. Quite a surprising number, I can tell you. And if I think when I was young, 75, I would have thought was beyond anything. And you'd think you'd never reach that age. And you'd also think if you did reach that age, that was beyond things you would want to do. And now that I am 75, I find it's a wonderful time. It is much nicer than being young, and I'm not exaggerating. Anyway, even though it is a good time in my life, of course, I'm nearing the end of my lifespan, and so I have to prepare the end. Oh, it's not only for old people to prepare the end of life, because as we all know, we human beings are mortal, and that means we could die in our 20s, 30s, 50s, whenever. So you got to be prepared. However old you or however young you are, you have to be prepared. And I know from many a friend who say they are unable to talk this over with their parents. The parents absolutely refuse to talk about this. And I think that's wrong. There are something which you have to prepare. Otherwise, you're leaving problems to those after you. You don't want to do that, do you? First thing, of course, there are two main things I think you have to think about and prepare. The first is, of course, whatever belongings you have, whether big or small. Heritage is not only a problem for those who have a lot to give on to their children. It is always a problem, even if it's very little, because a lot of pain and hurt and old stories go along with it. Like, the brother who was always truly or apparently the favorite, etc. Now, you don't want to leave problems to your children or whoever gets what you own. So think about it. What is it that you want? If you died within the next week, what is it you have to pass on? And who do you want to pass it on to? And then maybe you want to talk it over with those people. Maybe you have several children, and for whatever reason, the house goes to one, or the gold watch of the grandfather goes to somebody. You don't want to leave that unexplained. You should talk to those people and make your reasons clear. The aim is to avoid hurt to those near to you. And then, of course, another very important, let me give you an example. I stood at the grave of my father. He had died in his late 80s, everything fine. And as I stood at his grave, a close friend of his said to me, "Oh, your father was always so proud of you." Huh? My father proud of me? He never, ever said anything like it. Whatever I did was wrong, according to what he said. Well, I'm long over that now. It doesn't hurt me anymore. But I can tell you it hurt me for a long time. So don't do that to people near to you. Think about it and act accordingly, of course. And then something else exceedingly important. These days, modern medical science, as you all know, makes incredible things possible. So incredible that you might not want it, all of it. And I think you really have to think about this and get informed about it and think about it and leave, and also make sure you understand the ruling in your country, wherever you may be living. You may need a certificate for that, and you absolutely need somebody to take over responsibility once you may not be able to take that responsibility anymore yourself. With modern medicine, the chance that the last weeks or months or years of your life or in between, you may be in a state of subconsciousness, hanging on to machines. And it's very high, the probability or the possibility. And there you need somebody to speak on your behalf. And that person, so you've got to think about who is that going to be. Then you have to talk to that person. Is that person ready to take on that responsibility? And if so, does he or she need a written certificate to prove? And then also, like, my father, the last 5 days of his life spent in a hospital. And I knew exactly what he wanted, or to be more precise, what he didn't want, what he wouldn't want anymore. He wanted to go. He was in late 80s and he wanted to go. And there were lots of things he didn't want to be done to him anymore. And I knew that. I was in no doubt at all. So I could save him from all that. And he died within 5 days, peacefully, just going over from life to death. Not one machine attached to his body, and he just peacefully went away. And that was very good. But it was only possible because I knew what he had wanted or what he didn't want, and I had the necessary certificates. So do speak about it with those that are concerned in your life. Think it over, get informed, very important, and then decide. And modern medicine makes all kinds of things possible, particularly at the end of our lives. We know that from research. In the last few months of our lives, most medicine does most for us. Well, that's fine for some. For some it isn't. And you've got to make sure you know what you want, and you've got to make sure that those near to you also know what you want, and particularly what you don't want. And I hope that you will go and start doing that immediately, even if you're still comparatively young. See you.